Sudan's 3-month-long conflict shows no signs of receding. The clashes between the warring parties have disrupted the power supply in the capital of Khartoum. Fighting between the Sudanese armed forces and the rival Rapid Support Forces continued in the capital. Fighting has also extended to central Sudan. The headquarters building of the General Command of the Sudanese Armed Forces has been at the center of the conflict. It had fallen into the hands of both sides over the course of the conflict, yet no side has taken complete control of the area. In United Kingdom, the Conservative Party has won Boris Johnson's former parliamentary seat on the western fringes of London. The Conservative Party candidate, Steve Tuckwell, won the by-election with a majority of 495 votes. However, the ruling party saw its huge majority getting wiped out in rest of the 2 seats. The elections were conducted to fill the seats vacated by former Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who resigned as an MP last month. Cyprus court is set to rule on whether a British pensioner, David Hunter, who killed his terminally ill wife suffering from blood cancer, is guilty of premeditated murder. Now, this is the first time for Cyprus court to have to deal with whether such actions mean premeditated murder or not. Hunter argues that it was a mercy killing after his wife of more than 50 years begged him to end her torment. Israel continues to see protests against its controversial judicial overhaul plans. The police dispersed protesters with water cannons after they flocked to a highway in Tel Aviv on Thursday. Lawmakers are expected to vote on Monday on the first party of the reforms. The bill, if passed, can block the Supreme Court from voiding decisions made by the government which it deems quote-unquote unreasonable. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that efforts to reach consensus on the judicial overhaul bill are currently ongoing. Belarus has released a video showing Wagner Group mercenaries training with its special forces. Now, this is just a few miles from the border with NATO member Poland. The Belarusian Defense Ministry said that the week-long drills will take place near the Brest. It's a city on the Polish border. Meanwhile, the Polish Defense Ministry has said that it was beefing up security at the border. When asked about Poland's move, Kremlin spokesperson said that he was paying increased attention to Polish military movements. Now, these drills have caused fear among the people living near Poland's border. Dozens of people took to the streets in Guatemala City to protest against an investigation of presidential candidate Bernardo Arevalo. Now, Guatemalan prosecutors had conducted a surprise raid of the country's top electoral authority on Thursday, escalating a controversial probe 1 month before the presidential runoff election. Arevalo enjoyed a surge in support in June's first-round voting to surprisingly qualifying for a runoff against former First Lady Sandra Torres on August 20th. He has threatened to take on the political establishment, which he accuses of being corrupt. New York has agreed to pay more than $13 million to racial injustice demonstrations who had filed a lawsuit against it. The lawsuit was filed in the Manhattan Federal Court by about 1,300 people. They took part in the Black Lives Matter protest 3 years ago and these people alleged that they were arrested or beaten up for taking part in the racial injustice demonstrations. The agreement allows New York City's administration to avoid a trial that could be both expensive and politically fraught. A man in his 60s had a neurostimulator called Percept PC implanted into his brain, that is, to treat Parkinson's disease. Now, it's the first time this new device was inserted into a patient in China. Mr. Lu was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease back in 2015. The device records the patient's brain signals and sends how they change after sending electronic signals to the brain that controls movement. Japanese protesters took to the streets again to rally against their country's plan to dump nuclear-contaminated water from the crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant into the sea. Protesters were seen chanting, "Don't dump nuclear-contaminated water into the ocean. No more polluting the marine environment." Many showed concerns that the nuclear-contaminated water will not only disrupt the marine environment, but could threaten human health as well. The United States on Thursday imposed sanctions on roughly 120 firms from multiple nations. Now, this was done to choke off Moscow's access to products, money, and financial channels that support its invasion of Ukraine. These firms are based out of countries like Russia, UAE, and Kyrgyzstan. The sanctions target dozens of Russian mining, technology, and munitions firms and commercial banks as well. Now, rescue teams are searching for survivors of a massive landslide in Maharashtra that killed at least 16 people and is suspected to have trapped more than 100. As many as 21 people have been rescued by the National Disaster Response Force. The calamity happened as land gave way at a mountain in a district of Raigad, flattening several houses and trapping the residents of the area. Rescuers searched for over 12 hours while dodging large boulders in heavy rain and fog. The operation stood suspended at nightfall, with about 100 people still feared to be trapped. As per reports, some graves were dug near the site of the incident as it was difficult to get the bodies down. Iraq has expelled its Swedish ambassador. The move comes in the wake of an attack on Swedish embassy in Baghdad, which was set alight by the protesters. The outrage was caused by the desecration of the Holy Book of Quran in Stockholm. Iraq has also suspended working permits for Swedish businesses such as telecom giant Ericsson on Iraqi soil. The Swedish Foreign Minister confirmed that the safety of the embassy staffers was being taken care of. He also said that Iraqi authorities had failed in their responsibility to protect the embassy. Now, Peru's Ubinas volcano rumbled back to life after days of no detectable activity. The eruption unleashed a trail of smoke in the entire region. A video captured by Peru's volcanic observatory shows that the moment when a plume of ash and gas erupted 3 kilometers above the crater. Now, Ubinas is Peru's most active volcano. 3 explosions early this month prompted authorities to issue an orange alert and also declare a 60-day state of emergency. UNESCO listed Yazd as a World Heritage Site, describing the city as a living testimony of intelligent use of limited resources available in the desert for survival. Among the testaments are the tall chimney-like towers which rise from ancient adobe homes in the desert city, thus attracting a pleasant breeze for residents of one of the hottest cities in the world. The wind catchers, called in Persian, are just one of the engineering marvels developed by the inhabitants in this ancient city in central Iran, where summer temperatures reach over 40 degrees Celsius. Prolonged conflict intensifies Sudan's food crisis as food stocks in many regions run out. Like in the capital of Khartoum and its neighboring cities, were among the most affected areas in the conflict. With infrastructure seriously damaged, more than 90% of the food processing factories have been forced to close down. According to reports, the country's hunger situation may further deteriorate as farmers can hardly get crops planted due to a lack of funds, seeds and fertilizers. Two Italian Canada Air planes are being used for aerial firefighting by scooping up and dropping water. These planes from Italy joined Greece in its fight against wildfires that have burned thousands of hectares as Europe battles extreme temperatures. Wildfires across Greece slowly abated on Thursday after razing swaths of forest and dozens of homes in the past days. But temperatures rose, threatening new outbreaks in tinderbox conditions. Now, residents of rain-hit Kentucky had to manage their way through floods with kayaks and half-submerged vehicles. A social media video showed a person paddling a kayak along a flooded residential area in Mayfield after heavy rain hit the zone. Severe flooding forced residents to find their ways of mobility as rainwater sank neighborhoods underwater. The region has been put on a flash flood warning by the National Weather Service. A Pfizer facility in US's North Carolina sustained significant damage after a tornado ripped through the state on Wednesday. The National Weather Service said that the tornado left 16 people injured, 2 of them with life-threatening injuries. Nash County Emergency Services reported at least 89 structures were damaged by the tornado. The tornado lasted for about an hour, spanning a distance of 20 miles. Now, Civil Aviation Administrations of China has approved Airbus H-175 helicopter deliveries to begin in China, one of the most demanding markets worldwide for civil helicopters, with a growing need for the super medium segment. 4 H-175s will be delivered to Chinese customers in 2023. In service since 2015, Airbus's H-175 belongs to the super medium class of helicopters. The 53 H-175s currently in service have accumulated over 185,000 flight hours in 13 countries. Now, more than 20,000 rail employees went on a strike in the United Kingdom over wages, job cuts and working conditions. Workers from 14 train companies took part in the strike organized by Britain's largest transport trade union. Many employees complained that the sustained price rises for core products in the UK has made it increasingly difficult for the working class to make a living. Some passengers have claimed that today's strike had little impact on their daily lives. There are concerns that continued strikes could lead to inconvenience. China's foreign exchange demonstrated resilience in the first half of the year amid an improving domestic economy. Chinese banks reported a surplus of $1.8 billion in foreign exchange settlement and sales over the past 6 months. The surplus of foreign-related receipts and payments by banks on behalf of customers was $46.7 billion. This is being reported by the State Administration of Foreign Exchange.